Hey, everybody. Welcome to Humor and Healing. We're here. Richard Villa, Irvin, how are you? Very good. And I hear you brought us a special guest today.
I sure did. I'm really excited to announce that I brought my boss here, one of the sponsors.
Yes. So all of our bosses.
Yes.
Why did you sound scared? What happened?
I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, so she's going to be nice, she promised.
You're going to be nice? All right.
Welcome.
This is Katie Weber. She is a licensed social worker, also aka my boss and director.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? How are you?
Katie.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us. So there's a lot of things we want to ask you, but I know there's specific topics that we picked because I know you can really give us some insight on it. And I know my wife had set them up. I know a lot of our fans and our guests were like saying, hey, can you ask these questions? So
Yeah.
can we start with that? Can we start asking you a few questions? And before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this? Why did you want to do this? What drove you to this?
my gosh.
Like those things.
It's such a heavy question.
Yes,
That's
because
the
I
best
mean, what
part.
drives you to do what you do?
I guess the small summary is that I've always liked helping people and being around people. I'm a very outgoing person. I love talking to people. I never wanted to be a therapist, though.
Huh?
No, ever. I
Really?
dreaded it. And I think it was because I was scared. You know, if you're afraid of something, you kind of like put all these excuses as to why you don't want to do it. I kind of fell into therapy like 10 years ago, and I just fell in love with it. And I just went with it.
Why did you? I mean, no, people don't fall into stuff
Yeah.
like this.
Well-
You don't just trip into
That's
this.
a big deal.
Well, no naman me caí, ¿verdad?
yeah.
So I went to Cal State Long Beach, and then I got my degree in social work. And my goal was to be a medical social worker. I wanted to be that social worker in the hospital that gives the family the resources, you know,
Yeah.
a nice little package, y vámonos.
Mhm.
Well, it turns out, no,
It
that's
wasn't
not.
enough.
It's not for me because
Okay.
I have a really bad immune system, and every time I was in the hospital, like I was sick, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, because you're around sick people all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then while I was working at the hospital, I was working in the postpartum and NICU unit. And this is how I came across of my love and talking about postpartum depression and talking with family members about issues with depression.
And that's how you decided this is where I'm going to get less germs.
Well, yeah, I was working for a very famous hospital, but we will
Yeah.
not
Mention.
name it. Yeah,
It's okay.
because we don't want to get sued.
No, we don't.
Yeah. And then while working there, I met a lot of other therapists who had their own private practice.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just said, you know, go do it, Katie, do it. Like, we're vested. We're stuck here.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to retire here. You just started.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Vámonos. Let's do
go.
it.
Let's do it.
And I started doing it. And then I went from just like having like clients on the weekends to just 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, where then I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Got to stop inviting strangers to my
I
house.
know. I was like,
Not
there's
working
a
out.
lot of people that need help in this area in
Yeah.
Corona,
Yeah.
and especially Spanish speaking.
Yes.
Porque no hay muchos terapeutas latinas que hablan en español. So I hired a clinician. She came along, and then we got more clients. And I was like, well, let's keep on hiring. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Let's help out our little community.
Yeah.
And that's basically just how it started. But as far as postpartum depression, it's like very near and dear with me because I suffered from postpartum depression.
Can you explain to us what that is? What is postpartum depression?
So
Yeah.
postpartum depression, the name postpartum is just after having the baby.
Okay.
Postpartum. That's it. And then the depression is due to the being pregnant, right? So the symptoms are inability to be able to have a connection with your baby, get easily angered or irritable, not having enough sleep, lack of appetite, not wanting to be around other people. You isolate yourself, a lot of fear. There's also postpartum anxiety, where a lot of women will be fearful of leaving the house with their baby or leaving their baby with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, ni con el papá. Like, I don't
Yeah,
trust
he's
you.
not smart enough to handle
like
this.
it's
He's
like
gonna mess
I
this
had
up.
a baby with you, but I don't trust you
Yeah.
with a baby. And I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah.
what? Explain
Yeah.
that to me.
Hey, listen, when she didn't trust me, I understood. I got it. I get it. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna drop stuff. I get.
No,
But that's how you learn,
Yeah.
right?
right.
Not I'm saying like you drop the baby and you
No,
learn,
no.
but that's how you learn because there's tons of books that teach you how to be a parent, but until you're right there in it,
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute. Like
Yeah.
you're letting me leave the hospital
With this thing.
with this baby?
Yeah.
Like,
I remember
you know,
that. I
like the
was
first
scared.
couple of days you're at the hospital, right?
yeah.
And the el
You have
botón,
somebody-
¿verdad? And the nurses come and they help you and
Gets the baby.
you know, and then it's like, wait a minute.
Where's the money?
You don't know me. You haven't done a background check on me and you're letting me leave with this baby?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, just try not to bring the baby back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
try not to kill this little human being. And basically that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is trying to
Survive the baby.
survive
Can I
this
ask you a quick
beautiful
question?
baby that you brought into this world.
If you were a really wealthy person, does this affect you also? Because I
yes,
think
it doesn't
eliminates-
matter.
If you have a nanny that works with
So,
you, and does,
postpartum depression, if you have a history of sexual abuse, if you have a history of trauma, if you have a history of being in DV, domestic violence, which Irvin has talked about here,
yeah,
if you have a history of, having parents that you lived in a toxic household, substance abuse, anywhere. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
you can suffer from this.
You can suffer from postpartum depression.
Because I know the husband might just go, it's just you haven't slept. That's why. You're not depressed. You're just sleepy. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not it. It's,
Part of it is that, and this is one of the things that I would stress with all my new moms in the beginning. Please, please, please sleep as much as you can. Because when you don't sleep, the brain
yes.
will play games on you.
Yes.
And this is where the psychosis comes in.
Yeah, Richard.
No, not me.
Yeah, remember you never woke up?
Oh, that is,
The
that is
baby?
okay. Can I ask you a question? For some reason, my ears just don't.
No.
They don't. I couldn't hear her. I could when we had our baby.
It's called selective listening. My husband,
Is that?
yeah, my husband has that too.
Yeah.
Nomás cuando le da la gana
Selective
escucha.
So you understand? There's something wrong with us. It's not us. It's just it's selective
Yeah, you
listening.
selectively heard.
Yeah,
Did-
so
or did
it
not
was-
hear.
And I would have gotten up, but I just didn't hear her cry. It was just
Well, I think it's also important for you to know that 1 in 10 men will develop postpartum depression.
Oh.
really men go through this too.
Men go through this too because it's a life-changing event
Mm-hmm.
for you, you know.
Absolutely.
So your whole life changes. It's upside down. You know, before it was you and your wife, the perfect couple. You guys get to do whatever you want. And now you have this new baby and mom
Yeah.
is paying attention to the baby and dad's like, ¿Y yo qué? Like, I feel left out. And this happens a lot that I've seen in our culture, that the men get resentful of the baby. So they don't want to get close to the baby because they're lo quieres más a él que a mí.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. You need to bond with your baby too. You need to be a part of the
You
baby's
think
life.
also the expectations of our culture, like, well, I took care of 6 kids and you only got 1, and you're over here crying about 1 baby. I took care of 6 kids. You know what I mean?
Well, that was one of the things that would always come up because I
Yeah.
used to do postpartum group is that the father would always be like, pero mi mamá, ella no
Yes.
tuvo problemas. It's like, dude, never
comparison.
compare your wife to your mother.
Or
Like,
anybody, I learned.
yeah, but
Anybody.
especially your
Yeah.
mother, right? Like
Or
you just
anybody.
don't do that.
No.
Mm.
And it was more of psychoeducating the father. It's like, okay, what is your role?
I think my dad went through that because my mom told me, she would tell me, as soon as I had your oldest brother, Victor, my older brother, as soon as I had him, he hated him. He completely changed. And it was because all I did was take care of him. Like I only took care of your dad and I fed him. I mean, I literally stood next to the stove, warmed up the tortilla, and I handed it to him.
No, pues wow.
And so cuando llegó el baby, cuando llegó el baby, he realized, hey, they're not handing me my tortillas I'm eating. They're not, here at my beck and need. So she really took it upon pushing back my brother, and they've always clashed as since I've known. They've always been against each other. I don't know if it all goes away or
it'll go away if you have a good, solid, respectful relationship and you communicate.
Oh, no, that's not happening. But
En esa generación ya
no.
No, not in Richard's house.
Not in my house. No, that was,
You just get over it.
oh, yeah. That's
Lo
it.
que pasó,
You're not
pasó.
bleeding?
Yeah.
You're not bleeding?
Exactly.
You don't need to go to the hospital. You're fine.
Está bien, está
Yeah.
bien.
You and I grew up in the same house.
Oh, see? The only one.
Oh, great. Urban, we're a team now.
There you go. I know.
Yeah, we just didn't give it cute names like depression.
Cute names.
They would call it payasadas.
Yeah,
Es un escándalo. Váyase a dormir.
Chillón.
Yeah.
But it's true what you said. I didn't believe in depression at all. Like postpartum, I heard about it, and because in my house there was no depression either, right? Like that doesn't exist. And when I had my child, I was like, oh, I think I have it. I think it hit me in the face hard.
Right. Well, when I had my son, so both of my babies, I called them my petri dish babies because they were here through the grace of science and God.
Okay.
They're IVF babies. So in order for me to bring them into this world as it was a very challenging for my husband and I. So that in itself was already a factor that was leading me towards having the depression and the anxiety.
So much pressure, right?
Yeah. While I was pregnant with my son, I had a severe hyperemesis. You're looking at me like, ¿qué es
Yeah,
eso?
I don't know what that is. ¿Se come?
No se come. Es segomita. It's severe morning sickness.
Oh,
Like
No.
to the T where it's like, te pasas la saliva and
that's coming out.
yeah.
Oh.
So for 6 months, I was hooked up to an IV, and that's all that kept me and my baby alive.
Ooh, wow. And you said I want to do it again?
And I said I wanted to do it again.
Oh, my God.
But my body said no.
Oh,
No, girl, you can't do this
no,
again.
okay.
My second baby was born due to a surrogate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't talk about all these things that happen while in pregnancy. I was talking to Irvin, and one of my colleagues, Jasmine, is like, you know what they don't tell you at the hospital? They need to tell you the truth about having a baby and not show you that film from the 80s of the woman having the baby.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. No, You need to show us a C-section
Tied up
video.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to show us the mom hoo-ha ripping. You need to show us the truth
Yeah.
because they don't show you that.
No.
I remember my Lamaze class, the mom was like, oh, you'll just breathe. And it was heavenly. And it was the most beautiful day in the world. And when my baby was born, I was like, get him out of me.
Yeah.
Ya no lo quiero tener aquí adentro. Casi me mata por
Yeah.
6 meses. And now I'm like, no, get him out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was devastating to me that it wasn't actually love at first sight when I saw him. When I saw him, I felt relieved. Like,
Good, I got rid of that.
honestly, yeah. And I felt like a horrible person.
Yeah.
That I was like, why am I not like all those moms that you see on TV? Like Irvin talks like the Cinderella story, the
commercial.
Disney, yeah. You have your baby, everything's wonderful. And it's like, no,
So
that's not the reality for a lot of women.
No.
And we have to be okay with normalizing it, that it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies for everybody, and it's not going to be love at first sight. that love eventually is going to come. Now he's the love of my life. I love my son.
Yeah.
But it took time to get there.
Rocio brought up a good point when she got pregnant. She was like, this sucks because when you're going to graduate, you know there's a date. When you're going to get married, you know there's a date, so you get it out of your system. There's called the bachelor party. But when you get pregnant,
You don't have control.
that's it. You just lost it. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do anything. Like oh, I was going to go to a wedding. I was going to do that. Well, I'm not going to drink anymore.
Yeah,
And I'm
you-
not going to do this anymore.
You lose zero control of your life.
Exactly. We're going to go to Magic Mountain. Well, I'm not going to go to Magic Mountain. That's not what you
¿Para qué
do
voy
when
ahí?
you're pregnant. Yeah. You can't get on the rides. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
your change,
Freedom.
just you have to adapt now.
You're afraid of wearing those heels that you like so much, and
Yeah.
because you might slip. And like we tried because us too, it took us 4 years when we
Yeah.
had a miracle baby.
Yeah.
That's just the one and done. But
He's
like,
adorable.
yeah, but you're afraid of doing so many things, and you don't realize how much your life does change.
It does. It changes
Instantly.
in a minute. And while you're going through it, a lot of people don't see how difficult it is.
Yeah.
And how difficult it can be in a marriage, you know. When my husband and I found out that we were both infertile, we're like, what the hell? Like, we're like Monica and Chandler from Friends, right? That she's like, I've always been a good hostess. And he's like, well, your uterus is killing my sperm. Like, you know, and it's like, oh my God. Out of all these people in the world, you and I found each other. So we were meant to go through this together. And we went through it, and we're still together 15 years later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know this great podcast you should listen to. It's called Humor and Healing.
Yeah. We talk about all that. We talk about all that. That's all. Somebody is going through that as a husband. What can we do as a husband to help? Meaning, we're not experts. I think my wife is going through this.
Yeah.
If I even have a suspicion, I would like to help her, but how? How do I help her? Where can I be?
Ask her what, very simple question. What do you need? ¿Qué puedo hacer para
Te
ayudarte?
cae la boca y vete para allá.
No.
All right.
Even like little simple tasks, you know, if you see that she's tired, baby, go sit down. Let me wash the dishes for you. Let me make you a meal.
Okay.
You know, let me rub your feet. Let me do something for you. Because as your wife would know, it takes over like a year for our bodies to get back to normal. A year to 2 years, studies show, for our bodies to get back to normal hormonally and everything. Por eso somos bien tóxicas, ¿verdad?
A little bit.
But as a husband coming in, it's like really asking these questions, going to every doctor's appointment with your wife.
What if that's not possible?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
that's nice,
There
but
are those
Ask
husbands.
her, how was your doctor's appointment?
okay,
How did it go?
okay.
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 If you see that she's
See, that's a
isolating and she's sad, you know, letting her know, hey, babe, I've noticed that you no quieres ir a visitar a tus papás. Like, what's going on? You know, and she might tell you, or she might lie, or, you know, you can do what my husband did to me and just be honest and be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you can't lie to me. Like, I've known you all these years. Don't lie to me. What is going on? I can't help you if you're not honest with me.
Yeah.
And those words were so powerful to me. When he said that to me, he's like, I can't read your mind.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and it's true.
And it's true.
And
But a lot of us think, you know, he should know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As women, right?
Yep.
Yes.
You know, we get stuck in that cycle.
So if you're a husband that's working, you have a lot of pressures, a lot of everything, but you understand you have a wife at home with postpartum. Just her knowing that you understand or you are even interested in what's going on in her life would be enough, because I'm thinking of that husband.
It's just some support.
Yeah,
You know, and asking her, you know, who do you feel comfortable with coming over to the house and helping you out? You know, if it's not my mom, your mom, tu
You
hermana,
want to bring a friend.
tia, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's get you the help that you need. Because realistically, with low-income families, someone's always going to be working.
Yeah.
and the mom is going to stay home with the baby,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But we got to be able to give that mom the resources to get out so that she doesn't isolate herself.
Yeah.
Because the more that she isolates herself, the more that she's increasing that depression. That depression, that anxiety, it's just getting...
And I think it's because she's sitting in that room just overthinking everything.
Yeah, and then they're returning to work moms. They're starting to think about like, I have to go back to work.
I have to go
What am
back
I
to
gonna do?
work.
Who's gonna take care of
And
the
this is,
baby?
you know,
So
the
many
U.S., come on, let's get it together. Let's give women a whole year off. Like, seriously?
Real.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they're just raising the next generation of your taxpayers, goddammit.
For real.
You want less crime? Can we have some?
Well, I was, you know, Trump said that he was going to he was going to pay for IVF or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, dame un refund a mí.
Yeah, give me
Para
the
los dos
rest
que yo
for
traigo.
real.
Exactly.
But it's like we need stuff like this to
Yeah.
help our families because realistically, a lot of people are not having children anymore
No.
because it's really
Where?
number one, it's really expensive, and number two, there's so many people that are dealing with infertility and you don't even
yeah.
realize it.
Yeah.
So many couples are dealing with infertility, and if right now, if you can't refinance your house, if you can't get a loan, if you can't get borrowed money from your rich uncle or grandma and grandpa, you're not going to have a baby.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're not going to be able to have a baby because it's really expensive.
Well, it's a luxury now. To have a baby is a luxury. So, in I don't want to get all political, but what do you think now? They want to open up the borders. Now every Venezuelan and every Mexican is going to get a Social Security. All of this is happening for a reason. Our citizens are not going to make any more citizens. And the only way that America gets a tax or a loan from another country is knowing that, hey, I have all these taxpayers. Trust me, money's coming. They're just not old enough.
Yeah.
Next year, all these 18-year-olds are going to start paying. Do you understand how America and the economics work? So when Americans decide, listen, it's too expensive for me to have a baby, that's a luxury. That's something that's not going to give any money on return. Why do I have one?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Unless you really, really want one.
There is no need. And so now they're going, no, I don't want to. So how do you then keep getting loans from other countries when they go, you don't have any citizens? Where's your credit? Because you don't have gold. See, no, because that's what backed up the American dollar. So it's important that we talk about this, why we're not having kids. And it's true. And then you have also a lot of kids now coming with autism. And now people are saying it's all the plastics that we've been consuming and all the processed foods that we've been
I believe that there's something in our food. I'm not being as conspiracy theorist or anything, just because from what I've seen and what I've read in the hormones that they put in our food that is causing all these infertility issues in all these young people.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I really believe that.
Absolutely. But it's the American dollar. It's how we're going to make a profit. Why do you think America allows more preservatives than any other country and more colors and everything, and you can process whatever you want here and we'll pass it? Really? FDA said yes? Yeah, we're good. You can eat that. No, it's garbage.
Well, although that's really interesting, I really have an important question here.
Okay, let's go. Thank you.
Okay,
She keeps
sorry.
us on.
know.
I'm
track.
just saying, you guys are going. Let me ask this very important. So there's this person. How do if a man sees what's the birth of his child, and then he's like, after that he's like, I don't know if I want to touch my wife.
Ooh.
What does he do?
It's a normal,
Is that normal? And how long
I was
does it
talking to
last?
Irvin. It's a normal response because it's traumatic.
Yeah,
It's very
it's a very
traumatic.
large opening.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was there. It was.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get that kind of an opening. You got guts.
Yeah, I got guts.
Oh, well, 'cause
no,
he
that's
had a
even worse.
C-section.
No, because
Yeah, I had a C-section too. I mean, but I went through both
Yeah.
ways.
yeah.
My husband's like,
Do
"Ugh."
they-
Ugh.
yeah. Is that-
It's because I saw her from the inside out. I was like, oh, I feel.
La sacaron a-
Yeah, they were moving stuff in there.
does that ever like go away? That feeling of like, oh, my wife. That
It
was
will
weird.
go away, but you have to normalize it and talk to somebody about it. Go seek help and talk to someone and normalize that this is a
Yeah.
normal part of life, that this is something that is supposed to happen, right?
Right.
You are supposed to be open from the inside out to take the baby out, right?
So
I
I got over it, guys. I got over it.
But there a lot of men. A lot of men do. They get scared. Like, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to hurt you.
You know when I got like that? Towards the end of her pregnancy.
You did?
We'll see all your facial
In a
like
sense, we're like when we were gonna be intimate, it would be like, ooh, like I don't want to hit the baby. I don't know how big she is.
It was weird for me. Too.
Oh my god!
But I'm stupid. I don't know. I don't know how far that distance
thought
is.
that
You're
too.
not seeing anything. You know if she reaches her hand. I don't know.
You
Like,
thought the baby was gonna come out with dents in her head.
yeah, something.
Bless your heart. You're
Bless
not
your
that.
heart.
You're not that big.
Isn't that-
I
Nobody that big.
Nobody's that big then.
No.
We're good.
Yeah, you can have as much sex as you want while you're
Okay,
pregnant.
okay. I'm not
Your
the only
baby's not gonna come up with a hole in
Don't
it.
judge me like I'm the only one that ever thought of that.
It's actually
No,
better,
my
right,
my
towards the
husband
end?
said the same thing. I was
Okay,
like,
see?
Isn't it better towards the end so that the mother has an easier
it's supposed to help
Yeah.
And that's-
stimulate
yeah. And
Yeah.
we
the uterus. I want to use the correct medical terms because my sister's a nurse, and if I don't use, she's gonna be like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Oh, she's a nurse.
Oh,
We have a nurse joke.
What's the nurse?
Oh no.
No, we're not gonna mention it in
today.
this one. Nope.
Nope.
No, what's the next one?
Go back to the last
Yeah.
episode. Well, if somebody's had depression before, postpartum per se, can they get it again
Yes.
every time?
Yes.
Yes.
Your chances get higher and higher each time.
Really?
So this is why it's important that you have everything set in place. Your therapist, if you are taking medications, talking with a psychiatrist, to have everything in place, because your symptoms do come back, and they do come back a little bit more aggressive the second time around.
Can I just a question, because I always put my mom in these situations because she had 5 boys. There's no way my dad or her ever knew about postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself, like, let's say one of our listeners finds themselves in this situation where they understand that my husband is an old school Latino. If I tell him I'm depressed, that's loca. Cállate el hocico. Like that, if he takes that type of attitude and I don't have any resources, or there are resources out there, but you got to understand, yeah, I'm going to go to the clinic. My dad wouldn't let my mom learn English because she had to go to school at night with who knows how many men out there. And so she was very limited to what she could do.
So he was insecure.
Very insecure. He
Machista.
was machista, man. So if we have listeners that are going through something like that, and go, my husband's never going to let me go. So I'm going to go to the therapist. That's loca. We don't even have money to pay the rent. Get the pipe al therapist. What can they do
For
themselves?
these women,
Yes.
there's a amazing website called Postpartum Support International.
Uh-huh.
And they help women all over the world with postpartum depression, anxiety, OCD, bipolar, and they have resources in every single language.
Okay.
And they have hotlines that you can call in every single language.
What is it called again?
Postpartum Support International.
Okay.
PSI.
If you can go on Facebook and leave comments and put up memes, you can go to this website.
It's an amazing website. It really is. It has a lot of detailed information and facts, and it has information for the fathers too. Awesome. And everything is in every single language. You will find it in every single language.
Perfect.
Out there.
Perfect. Because I have women that go, es que no le entiendo al internet. But you understand Facebook.
El TikTok.
This is something you need in TikTok.
I love TikTok.
No, I get it. No, TikTok is amazing. But
I always send Irvin TikTok videos. I love it.
That's how we communicate sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this
That is
video.
our conversation.
Yeah, so they can do it. I just want them to know that if you really want help, there's help out there. And I understand you go, my husband doesn't let me out, es bien celoso, he's not going to drive me out there, or I don't drive. Well, here's the internet. And I know you have a cell phone, and I know you have your kid's tablet. So it's you understanding, hey, I'm going through this. How can I help myself Because even though you go, well, who am I hurting? It's just me. I'm just going to stay quiet. No, everybody around you is being affected by your depression.
Right.
Your kids, other kids that want mom there, but you're not present because.
Oh, it's hurting the relationship as well.
Yeah.
And for those men,
Yes.
I've talked to a lot of those men.
Yes.
I've had conversations with those men. And
Very reasonable people.
so, you know what? Once you talk to them and you ask them, how was your childhood with your father?
Mm.
And they are like, oh, pues siempre estaba trabajando. Okay, but when he got home, did you have a conversation with him? No. Who was taking you to all your sports events or da-da-da-da? My mom. Why wasn't your dad there? Well, because he was busy with his friends or blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're a father now. What kind of a father do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And it actually changes their mindset. You have a son now. You have a daughter. How do you want them to see you in 20 years that they're like, my dad was there for me? Or do you want the same story to repeat itself? Because this is how cycles change within generations. And, this is how in La Cultura we get stuck in these cycles because people are afraid to make the change.
Now, I'm glad I learned what that conversation that you just said, what kind of father do you want to be? It's a conversation I had with myself when Oli was maybe 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that, I changed everything. For me, I understood if I wait, if I don't put attention to this now, if I don't put work into raising my daughter and being part of her life, it is going to be 100 times more difficult when I realize, porque me hice güey o me hice pendejo, at 16 now I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah, and
So-
then they don't respect you. Kids don't
At that point, no, because you have to set the foundation at a very young age. Now, you find yourself in a situation where I didn't do that. I'm just having that conversation with myself right now because I'm listening to this podcast but my kid's 14, 16, yeah, it's too late. No, you're just going to have to work harder.
Yeah.
But that was something that you decided to put to the side. So now that she's 16.
You didn't make it a priority.
You didn't make it. So now you want him or her to make you a priority? No. So now you're going to have to work 10 times harder. So if the earlier you can get to your kids and start being that father, the easier it's going to be for you to continue to be.
And then
father.
for the fathers, that's what I tell the fathers is, if your wife is breastfeeding and she's making enough milk to bottle feed, you feed the baby. You bathe the baby. You change the baby's diaper, because a lot of men will be like, well, I don't have a breast, so, she only wants mom. No, but guess baby needs to eat. Mm-hmm. You need to shower it.
Change
it. You need to play with it, sing with the baby.
That's why I waited until she was 1.
Yeah, ves?
Before I realized I got to be a better father.
Yeah.
The diapers
but these are things that fathers need know that they can start doing right now. Mm-hmm. Because I in working with these women, I would hear a lot of fathers say, well, the baby only wants to be with mom. Okay. Why is that?
Right.
Do you take time to spend time with your baby? Does your baby know your voice? Does your baby know your smell? Well, she only wants mom. No. That's not my question. Why is it that your baby doesn't know you? Why are you not making it a priority for your baby to know you? And this is how fathers in the beginning can start developing that relationship with their babies.
There's a few things why I feel like as a father, you go into this mode of, now I really got to get my shit straight. I'm going to work even harder. So I got to put in more hours. I got to focus more on my career. I got to do more because I got to provide for this baby now.
Eres el proveedor. I got to bring in the money.
Exactly.
Which is important,
yes.
right?
But it's because you're saying spend time with your baby. Look, I don't have time. I got a baby to look out. I got to create a future for this thing. Right now, you do that. I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. And we're all, as men, we're going to want to have to do that. We're going to have that urge. But it's easy said, oh, spend some time with the baby. He's going to go like, if I'm spending time with the baby, who's making money? That in our heads, we're like, we don't see us being able to schedule
because you're
day.
looking at everything very black and white.
Exactly.
And it's not like that.
Exactly.
There's always time.
There's always time. And then
if you have time to go get a beer with your friends, guess what? That's your choice. You chose
yes.
to make the beer the priority over coming home and spending time with your baby.
I tell other dads, oh, you're great with your daughter. Like, oh, bro, me and you have the same 24 hours. We do the same job. You can do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody.
It's all in how you prioritize your time.
Yes. So the people that are using it, easy for you to talk. You don't have to work. Ahí está, que pinche papá va a estar ahí todo el día con el niño. No, bro. It's the papa that says, I'm not going to go get drunk today. I'm going to spend some time with my kid.
Yeah, where I'm not going to play soccer this weekend.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I'm not going to be on my softball league.
Hey, relax. We don't
Damn, shots fired.
I'm just saying.
Hey. Hey, my baby comes with me. My little girl comes with me. They always come to the game. So.
Pero ya está grande.
I know. She's like, I don't know.
I don't care. You're going.
I'm talking about a newborn baby.
Yeah.
No,
Take that time apart in the beginning.
You can't get postpartum depression after 10 years.
After 10 years?
Yeah.
No, that's just called major depressive disorder.
That's just depression.
Postpartum depression is
just
only up to 1 year.
Clear for everyone.
1 year and 1 day, it's major depressive disorder.
Yeah, that changes.
Yeah. It's just a way of coding
Yeah.
the diagnosis.
Okay.
They make it sound so like, ooh.
You really got to come in.
Yeah, like
that.
Yeah, and you don't have to have that house clean,
oh no.
like just not that 17 diapers. I don't know if you sent that TikTok about that lady with the 17 diapers. There were 17 diapers all over the house.
Why?
Because she didn't want to clean it. And, she was trying to use the excuse of like, well, I'm a new mom. But I'm like, nah, girl, you just dirty.
There's depression, then there's dirty.
Nah, girl, you just dirty.
17. Now I'm concerned about that, Mom.
Yeah,
it sounds like depression right there.
A couple diapers.
If you have a lot of filth around your house and you don't see it as a problem, in my head, I'm
your
like,
baby's around it.
Huge red flag.
That's a huge.
You, as a mom, you want to keep your baby out of filth. Clutter's fine. Toys, fine. You didn't make the bed. Fine.
You're talking about E. coli.
Well, we're talking about like
it's a toxic.
Toxicity. That's why there's trash cans.
Hazardous.
¿Le llamaron al CPS?
I don't know, but there's a lot of it. There's a conspiracy going around her. There's something's up with her.
Yeah, to me, my little head is going into.
Oh yeah, there's red flags. There's red flags, and people are flagging her everywhere. It's
sounds a little bit of psychosis going on.
So, any more questions?
I think that's it for postpartum. I mean,
okay.
I mean, if I could just add one last thing that we got a chance to talk a little bit to earlier today, Katie and I, in regards to like men or dad spending time with their kid, it doesn't have to look the same as mom. Men and women are different, right? And so one of the things that two things, right? First, I've talked before in the past something called communal venting. That's how women they bond with each other. They talk about their life problems. They spend together, stuff like that. That's pretty normal. Men were different. One of the ways that we actually bond is by teaching. And that's one of the ways that dads really like to spend time with their kids, teaching them a life skill, teaching them baseball, soccer, something. And that's something that really bonds men to their children. And so, and there's actually another term I always laugh. It's called rough and tumble play. That's when the dad grabs a baby or grabs a little toddler and starts wrestling with them. And
oh my gosh.
it's
my husband.
Yeah, it's ingrained in men though, like literally. I was it on TikTok. It shows a woman saying, "Can someone explain to me why my husband plays with our cat so rough and they love him for it?" Yeah. And that's just how men, we're just rough. We like to play, and that's normal. Yeah. And you actually teach a lot of life skills to the kid because you teach them what does boundaries look like. Oh, like the baby hits dad, and dad's like, "No, we don't do that." They learn how to play well with other people. Mm-hmm. And so that's
when not to hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when a dad doesn't get a chance to spend time like that with their kid, a kid has they have to figure it out differently now in the real world, and they might mess up.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because that's how I connect with Oli. I will make a fruit cart, and it's a full project. This is not one day. It's like it's an ongoing thing. We have conversations about the fruit cart, how we're gonna get it, what we're gonna paint it. So it's a whole. Now we're invested in this project. We have art. We're gonna have an art exhibit, so we have to create art this summer. So what are we gonna draw today? How are we gonna draw it? Should we get frames? Should we decorate it? Oh, we're gonna make cotton candy. All right, let's get the machine. Let's learn how to make cotton candy. Let's give these.
And I'm over
So it's
here like,
always project after project after project that we just.
another one.
But it's my way of
Yeah.
spending that time with her because I need to pull her away from her peers and other things that she wants.
Yeah.
So if I get her involved in something that she wants to do and it's going to take a long time to create, that just gives us an opportunity to talk.
You're
Just
bonding.
bond.
'Cause there's nothing else she's going to share with me.
Yeah.
She'll share that. Oh, yeah, how's the kind? Oh, we're going to do this, that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
And she loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, but
Yeah.
but I make an effort to what is my next project? What is our next thing that we're going to do together?
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's a beautiful thing.
Find something that you both are interested
Because
in.
I can't wrestle with her. She won't fight with
Yeah.
me.
She won't?
No.
No.
She's
He's
like, stop.
competitive and she's competitive, so they'll compete and to see who does it better. Like,
Oh.
so it's kind of interesting how he found something that they both have similar interest in.
But she learns how to lose because she doesn't always win.
Hates
I
it
kick
too.
her ass sometimes. I
Yes.
even tell her today's a learning moment. I
She
kicked your
hates
ass.
it. Oh
Keep
my
up,
But
lady.
that's good.
Yes.
You
'cause
need to
she-
learn how to lose.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we tell her it's all right. You lost. I'll see you
Because
tomorrow.
That's part of life.
Yeah. Get up, shake it off. Let's do it.
Let's keep going.
That's it.
Find a new way how to do it.
I'm
Exactly.
gonna have to do EMDR on her one of these days. Oh, you
All
see how I
those-
brought that in?
Oh.
Oh,
So,
Segue.
yeah, segue. So,
segue.
but yeah, we are going to do that project. We were talking about earlier before we went on there, right?
Yes.
There's a comedian, Willie
Well, first-
Barcena.
Let's talk about what it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and let's bring it. How, like, what is EMDR and what is it?
Is it EMDR?
Is it EM? Am I saying that right?
EMDR.
EMDR.
What exactly is it? And then we can talk about how we want to use it.
Because he told me about it off air, and I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Mhm.
So explain to us.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, let me give you a general overview, and obviously Katie can fill in any gaps I miss.
Yeah.
But EMDR just stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's just a really fancy way of basically saying we're using bilateral stimulation or eye movements to help you process some of these traumatic memories. So stuff that you're stuck on, like let's say a car crash, you almost drowned, you saw someone pass away. I mean, there's a lot of traumatic. There's big T trauma like those that I just mentioned, and little T trauma. So like your girlfriend broke up with you, or your mom said this thing that just stuck with you, or a bully or something, like a little more of a little T trauma. And so we can use this to kind of help you get past some of these things. So I just want, like I said, to kind of give a overview, but would there be anything else that you kind of want to add?
No, you did it.
No, okay. Look, she's certified. She knows this stuff much better than me. Much better than me. So
But at Weber, you guys provide that service now.
Yes, we do. And I introduced it to Irvin when he came to work with me, and I said, "What? Come and sit in session with me. Watch this."
Yes.
And he's like, "What?"
yeah.
And I said, "You're gonna get trained in it."
Awesome.
And I said, and then every other clinician that works in my office, that's one of the requirements
They have to
that
be.
you have to be trained in EMDR.
Okay, so I told Irvin, there's a moment in my career where I need help with a situation that I need to overcome. And it's funny because the other comedian had brought it up at another podcast. He says, I used to do this to comedians. So he admits it on the podcast. He says, I used to be this bully. I used to do this. I used to do that. And he named a lot of big names. And I'm like, I'm one of those guys that you did that to. And I want to overcome that situation. And I want to, but I don't know, how does this work? Do I tell you exactly everything that happened that day? As much as I can remember? Because this was 24 years ago that happened. And I still feel this anxiety when I meet these people, these comedians, where I'm going to be in that certain situation where I go, oh man, I'm a little unease, and I can recognize it. The anxiety level goes to the roof.
What's so awesome about EMDR is that we don't have to go into detail about the whole scenario. You know, the reason why this trauma is stuck, it's because there's a negative belief system that's attached to it. So every trauma that we go through has a negative belief attached to it. So if the big T trauma is I'm gonna drown, right?
Like I'm not safe. I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. That's my negative. So every time I go to the ocean, I get into the water, I'm gonna die, right? So what we do is we have you focus on the negative belief, and then we have you focus on the scenario where that negative belief came from.
Because mine is,
And that's all you do.
imposter syndrome. I feel like an imposter. I feel like, no, you're not good enough. They're going to find out. They're going to know. And you're like, oh. But it's not there. You understand?
Yeah.
I know and I recognize I'm doing this to myself. It's in my head. So how do I shake this off? Like, how do I...
So I just told you, where did that negative belief system come from of I'm not good enough?
In that moment, when that person called me out on stage and he said this and this in front of all these people.
In reality, I'm going to tell you, Richard, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen?
Right there then. This negative belief system probably stemmed from when you were a lot younger.
Oh, man. Are you just trying to milk me?
I'm telling you.
How many sessions am I going to need?
Most of our negative belief systems,
Which I believe you, by the way.
They're ingrained in us from when we're much younger, but there's something that happens in life that triggers it.
Oh, wow.
So for you, it was that guy on that stage who
That
triggered
it.
that.
Oh, okay.
But you've had this belief system before, but
Absolutely.
that guy just took it out of you.
Yeah.
So that's what we would focus on, and that's where the bilateral movement comes of the eyes. And what we say is you just let your brain do the work. Just let it do what it's going to do.
Okay.
So what happens is as you're going back and forth with your eyes, right? What I tell people is you get like a little movie reel and you get like captions of your life and you see like little snippets of things that have happened in your life that have a connection of when you felt that you weren't good enough. So it could be you did something in school and someone laughed at you and it's like, oh, where did that come from? And it comes up. Or you fell and someone made fun of you and it comes up. So they're all connected.
So interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why when she was mentioning, like, that didn't happen at that moment, that was just one of the moments, but the way she mentioned it's almost like all these moments are like chain links. And so when you touch one, you get to start touching the other ones early on. Like as we do the session, you'll be surprised how many memories we'll get out of you. And they all relate to that.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared.
Sometimes
Good for you.
sometimes with some clients, we've been able to go back as far as like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Where they had no memory, no recollection, but then they're like, oh my gosh, this happened.
Won't that screw me up? Like I already shoved it down there all the way down and it's hidden away. If I bring it back up, won't it bring all these emotions and all of this?
That's what EMDR is, though.
Oh,
We do that on purpose.
No, that's the purpose.
Yeah.
You got to bring it out to let it go.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got to
okay.
be able to feel.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Elsa.
Like Elsa. Let it go.
Well, that's part of the name, right? EMDR, desensitization and reprocessing. We're
Yeah.
trying to desensitize you, put the volume down on, like, whenever you think of that memory that's embarrassing or it bugs you, we put the volume down emotionally so that you don't freak out when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then we reprocess it, like she said, that negative belief.
Yeah.
We're able to have you look at the same thing, but now you don't think something's wrong with me, for example. You think, you know what, that's where I was back then, but I'm a different person now. Like it's more positive or more adaptive to look at
So,
it.
yeah. So, what's a positive belief system you want to have about yourself versus
Okay.
I'm not good enough?
Yeah.
Is it,
Okay.
I'm a badass.
Yeah,
Right?
Absolutely.
So that every time now you start processing every time I'm on stage, guess what? I'm a badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am this person.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we start installing into your help me out.
AIP,
The AIP.
right? The Adaptive Information Processing
Yeah.
Network. Yeah.
Okay, stop showing off in front of your boss.
I know. I'm trying to get that raise.
You.
That's bananas. Well, I'm scared, but I'm willing to do it. I think it's great. I'm very adventurous when it comes to that. I want to do this. Let me ask you a question. And I asked something I asked Irvin before. do something like mushrooms, cannabis, does any of that work for mental health?
I'm pretty sure it does help. I don't know much about it. I have heard a lot of
People talked about
I've heard of
micro dosing with shrooms.
Yeah,
and-
microdosing. But you have to be so careful with that. You don't go with just any person
Right.
because people, they can give you the wrong dose
Laced
and
or something.
and
you're
you
tripping.
you can die. Like, just, there's a lot of clinicians that they're like, yeah, let's get into microdosing, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give anybody anything. Like, that's just way
But
above.
my
yeah.
question is, you just told me we're going to talk about it. We're going to root it from the root, get it out, and make you understand. Not make you, but help you understand. Hey, this is not your fault. This is that. Put some explanation behind this trauma. But I'm thinking with microdosing, I think it has to go hand in hand with therapy. It can't just, you don't just get a pill and be happy all day long, or get a microdose of mushrooms. That's just a chemical in your brain, right?
Yeah, it's
Making
I
you
mean,
happy. It has
It's
to come
short lived. It's not forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not the, because people, I microdose. Hey, you go to therapy? No, I microdose. That's not the answer, bro. You just told me you're high.
It's just, it's just a temporary happy
Band-Aid,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell people that's not therapy. You microdosing is not therapy. That's you drugging yourself every day and
Temporary.
walking around. But I think, like you said,
You're
you have to
numbing your
talk.
feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just not drinking. That's it.
Yeah.
You just change
Yeah,
it to
you're
mushrooms.
you're numbing your
It's good
feelings,
for
which
concerts, just so you know.
defeats the
It's
purpose.
good for a concert. No, but ever since we started the podcast, he asked me that question, and it's something I looked into a little bit.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, just mushroom or shrooms and like used for therapy, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good stuff, but the only thing that caught my attention was they said it can be used for depression, it can be used for anxiety, and it's almost equal to regular CBT treatment. So it has benefit, but the issue is that people who have schizophrenia or bipolar in their family history, some of them got induced psychosis, or it induced the bipolar or schizophrenia. And for some of them, it was temporary for 6 months. For other people, it was permanent. So people have to be really careful
So
about shrooms.
You also have to be very careful when you're assessing your clients.
Yeah.
And that they're going to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Oh no.
No.
No, they're not. But you have to maneuver. Now, have you ever had, when it comes to EMDR, have you ever had clients go, whatever? Has it ever not worked? When is it that it doesn't work?
It doesn't work when the client's not ready.
Why wouldn't the client be ready? What kind of
Because
excuses?
they're afraid to revisit that trauma.
So they
The
don't
trauma
wanna open up?
comes up, they start to get a feeling, depending on what the feeling is. A lot of people start feeling pain in their chest. They start feeling that big old
Not in their
knot in
throat.
their throat. A lot of people feel like they want to cry, and they don't want to cry, so they don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
then it doesn't work.
So I mean, okay. They said,
Will it work? Yes.
Yes.
And with clients like this, it just takes a lot of patience to get them through that hump.
Because they said
It takes a lot of reprocessing of the trauma, of that particular trauma, over and over and over again until they are able to get past that initial hump. So I have a client that I'm doing EMDR with, and we're working on the passing of her husband.
the what?
Her husband passed away.
Okay.
And I feel horrible every time that we do this, but we're getting through it. We're getting through the
Why
pain.
do you feel horrible?
Because I'm connected to my client and I can see their pain, and I just have to
How
muster
many
up.
sessions does it usually take?
There's not a number.
There's not a number.
No.
It-
Each case is unique
Oh.
and different.
It's funny you say that because I feel like this is a crash course on, not a crash course, but you're speeding up the process, because they say therapy gets hard when it gets real.
Yeah.
When you really start getting into the work, when you really start building and helping this person out, is when they stop going to therapy because they don't want to feel like that anymore.
Because they get scared.
They get scared.
And that's what I tell my clients. I'm like, guess what? Once you start therapy, you're going to start feeling worse before you feel better.
Yes.
Yeah. Because now we're opening that can of worms.
Sí, yo soy de los que chingar a su madre lo malo. Like, I love this. I'm looking forward to it because I feel like I get it out. I don't care, like a toothache. Just pull it out. Like, I just want it to be out. I know it's there, but I want it to be out. And that's why, and I don't have time to sit there and get to know each other. I want to get it now. I mean, I don't.
So EMDR is perfect for you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm loving it.
EMDR is perfect.
Yes.
I mean, and you already have the coping skill going up on stage and making fun of people. Like,
I'm there. I'm there.
He's ready to go. He's ready to go.
So,
let's do it right now.
Now, he said you were going to be nice enough to let us use your clinic in Corona.
Yes.
And I want to do it in an environment where, and we're going to record this for all our fans. They're going to be able to see it. They're going to see the process. I'm willing to be open with it. I want you to treat me like any other person that walks into your clinic. I want to go through the process. I want to be as honest as possible because honestly, I want the audience to connect and go, look, he went through it. He's still alive. He's doing okay, but he's doing a lot better now. And he's talking about his experience. So I want people to start getting comfortable to this new way of treatment, so they're not so standoffish and go, I don't know, what are you gonna do? This way they get a little taste of it.
And this is why I love EMDR, is because a lot of people are not really good at talking, right? And this is perfect for that person that really doesn't want to share their whole life story. Which it's very therapeutic to be able to do that for some people, but not for everybody, especially for people that are very guarded and scared. EMDR allows you to get to your target, to your goal a little bit faster with having to divulge too much stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but in a way, it almost technically doesn't matter what we hear as the clinician. It's only to help us guide what direction you're going. But otherwise, if you're telling like in detail in your head, like every like set that we're doing, or every incident, everything going on, we technically don't necessarily.
We don't need to know that.
As long as you're the one that knows what's going on, you're the one that's feeling and processing. We're just helping along the way, but we don't need to actually know.
If the lights go and go, it is what it is. I was there.
Well,
It
with
was time.
some clients, I'll stop my set and I'll be like, "What did you get?" And they'll have a hard time telling me. I'm like, "Just tell me, is it good or is it bad?"
Exactly.
And they'll say bad. Let's keep going with that. Yeah. What did you get? Really bad. I don't need to know the details.
Oh, okay.
So it's not important for us to know. It's as long as you're the one that's going through it.
Oh, okay. So I was ready to spill the beans.
I mean,
pero si quieres.
No.
Look, I'll tell you, it's more helpful when you say it out loud.
Okay.
Because some people have literally said something like they're like, "Oh, I see this memory," and I've never noticed myself be happy when I saw that picture in my head. Like when you talk about it out loud, you process it.
Because you're reprocessing what you just saw, and you're like, "Huh? What? That's so weird."
Yeah.
While you're doing this, can you make me stop smoking or any bad
you know what?
habits?
Actually,
hypnosis.
Well,
No.
Hey, Richard, you should eat better.
It's not like hypnosis because you are in full control.
Yes.
When you're under the state of hypnosis, someone else has control over you. With EMDR, you have all the control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is what's so great about it, and what I tell my clients is that it's like Jesus, take the wheel. You tell me when you want to stop, and I'll stop.
Wow. Okay, with that being said, we have to wrap it up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, this is a really good conversation.
Can
Thank you.
teenagers do this too? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody? Anything?
We have a therapist, a child therapist, and she does EMDR sand therapy with kids with toys. They have a sand tray and they move the toys around while moving the light. And it helps the child reprocess. I don't know much about it. I don't work with children, but she's amazing.
Yeah.
That's her specialty.
It's her specialty.
Well, guys, announcement: the tour for next year is going to be called Humor and Healing.
That's right.
And I am going to focus on just this, on family, on my marriage, and all that stuff. So be tuned. I'm coming to a city near you. We're putting together this tour. And as I'm doing these tours, I'm going to bring him along, especially the local tours, the local shows, because I think we should close off the show with him and doing a little bit of therapy session up there and doing some shows. So stay tuned for those. Thank you very much. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything you want to share? Website? Does Weber have a website? Do they have
WeberCounselingServices.com.
Yes.
Our phone number is 951.
They have it.
5820.
We put all that at the end.
You know, and even if you don't want to come get services with us, just go somewhere and get services.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, don't limit yourself. We live in a world where you can just look up things. And so all you're doing is building excuses. If you know you need help, just reach out. Babe, the last thing, reaching out, I know that your company has resources too, right?
Yes.
Yes. So for mental health and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that is it.
Put it in the video.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it. Thank you very much for listening to Humor and Healing. Bye-bye. We'll see you guys next week. Yeah. Clovis Realty. Thank you very much for sponsoring this show. Listen, sometimes it works out, so you're going to have to sell this home. Why not go to them? You're in good hands. What if it does work out and you want to buy a home? Go with them. So thank you very much for sponsoring this show. We'll leave the email. You can contact Ignacio. Tell him I sent you.
I'd like to thank the sponsors of this podcast, one of them being Weber Counseling Services. It's actually somewhere that I work. If you need any sort of mental health needs, from family therapy, couples counseling, individual, or any trauma work, we are the clinic for you. We have several qualified therapists there, me included. And one of the things that I really want to specify is that we do EMDR. It's therapy used for trauma work. So if there's something that you have a hard time getting past, that's something that I really highly recommend.
One of our sponsors that provides us this beautiful home where we can bring you all this information is Fairway Staffing. They allow us to come to the studio and provide you with this kind of content. So please support them if you are looking for any workforce, any employees for companies, fundraisers, whatever event you have, you need manpower, they can help you. Fairway Staffing at fairwaystaffing.com.